Speaking of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in London, let's get on to what we've been watching. And we've both been watching All or Nothing Arsenal this week. And how many episodes down are you?
I've watched 3 episodes of this.
Is it, like, again, you're a Chelsea fan, I'm a United fan. Is it genuinely annoying to you how likeable Mikel Arteta is?
I'm going to say no, because... And it's something that I always feel when I watch these documentaries. It's not as staged managed as the Man City one was. Did you ever watch that first Man City one they did?
Yeah, that is pristine, polished.
Yeah. It doesn't give you any real insight whatsoever, I don't think. Whereas this one is kind of a bit more, has a bit more appeal to it. And they've this series kind of extends out into like so many different branches now. There's like, different like leagues around the world. Like they did one for the Brazil national team, and they've done one for Juventus. They've done one for rugby. They did one for the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team, which I almost found myself watching one night when I was particularly bored. But and they do like one every season for an NFL team. But it's funny that the 3 that they've done so far of like English football teams are Man City, Arsenal, and Spurs, which is, as a Chelsea fan, very difficult for me to get super enthusiastic about any of it, really.
Also, you've got like in the All or Nothing, you've had 1 all and 2 nothings out of that 3.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So but I mean, the fascinating thing of getting to see some very brief, interesting glimpses behind the scenes of Jose Mourinho, and the Spurs one was good, because I will retain my status as a Jose Mourinho fan, no matter kind of what he's said and done or whatever since he's left the club. But yeah, it's really interesting. Mikel Arteta is like, he's kind of like that, when like you get a young teacher when you're in school, and they're just full of ideas. Like they've spent their training period coming up with all of these methods and thoughts. They've studied a sort of more experienced teacher and seen what's worked for them, and they've just been itching to do it. And then they've just got all of these ideas that they just want to bring out and be like, right, this is a really, I'm definitely doing this. This is going to be a great thought of mine to do. And then some of them like work and seem interesting, and then some of them are just absolutely shocking. Like for instance, the idea that to prepare his team for playing in Anfield, he decided to play You'll Never Walk Alone really, really loud, and they promptly went out and got whomped 4-0 by Liverpool. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many good ideas that you have, he's still Arsenal manager, and their squad wasn't particularly that great at that point. But he has kind of turned them around. But yeah, I find like the day-to-day bits and pieces interesting, like the people around the club, like some of the fans or whatever, and generally like some of the Arsenal fans in the last few years have made the club a bit of a laughing stock, really, haven't they?
Arsenal Fan TV. Yeah,
with the Arsenal Fan TV, like escapades, charades, sideshows, or whatever you want to say. But I think, like the bits and pieces we see the fans in here are good, and it's not a bad, like, it's an easy watch, like if you're a sports fan or a documentary fan, but it's still not, I don't think you're ever going to see what I really want to see, which is like in those moments of like when things like shit, because you see shit hit the fan, like they lose, when they lose like that game to Liverpool, when they get whipped by Man City and Chelsea and Brentford at the start of the in the first episode at the start of the season, you just never see how dark and shitty it gets, really.
What we all want is every one of these to be Sunderland till I die.
Yeah, exactly. You want to see people losing their shit. You want to see like chief executives slamming doors in people's faces and all sorts of stuff, but you never get that. And like I say, I prefer it to the Man City one so far. I don't know, like, as you've gone deeper into it, if it has kind of got more involved and you do have a bit more of a peak.
I mean, I suppose the most interesting episode so far is the January transfer window one where Aubameyang fucks off.
Yeah.
when you get into I think the run from like the episode before, which is where the disciplinary stuff happens with him, like not coming back on time and getting removed from the squad and being forced to train on his own, and then you're kind of like, you get to see a bit, but I would say nothing. It's kind of like, it reminds me of in the Spurs season where the Eriksen stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Where they've definitely cut a bunch of stuff out that makes both sides look bad.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's definitely a missing chapter.
They didn't mind leaving the Danny Rose stuff in that made him look like absolute shit.
Yeah. But they did. I think Arsenal definitely go off better than old Aubameyang in this, because they did the bit where like they showed how he didn't. He went to Barcelona without their permission before they had actually agreed anything.
The old
try and force their hand. Yeah.
Yep.
And it shows them kind of fuming because he left. And shit like that. But it's interesting, and I think one of my favourite stories of the whole season is the kind of like the Aaron Ramsdale, like getting in on him, basically coming in as sort of backup but really backing himself, and then he gets his chance, and now like to the point where Bernd Leno's gone out of that fucking club now.
Yeah. And playing for Fulham.
Yeah. And getting to see players like Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe, like real nice, genuine young lads who are like basically becoming the core of this team, and even getting to see like Granit Xhaka behind the scenes, like not being a maniac but still just getting sent off all the time is great.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in these to see like management styles and stuff like that, and I think that I was saying this to you last night off the air, that I think a lot of the stuff Arteta does would come off as very hokey and insincere with somebody else, because it's all very motivational speakery stuff he does with his diagrams and his flip charts and shit like that. Yeah. But I think when it's coming from him, it feels very earnest. And one of the things, I don't know about you, but one of the things that really struck me, and a couple of podcasts I've listened to that were talking about this, it struck them as well, is how he reacts to like players getting suspended or sent off or making a big mistake in a game. Instead of like admonishing them or doing whatever, it's arm around the shoulder, and then he motivates the rest of the team by going, let's do it for this guy. He made a mistake, he got sent off, we're not losing this game now, because then he'll feel it's like it's his fault. And I thought that was an interesting way to kind of spin the red card as a motivational thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they got an awful lot of red cards last season, you forget.
But here's the thing though, in that situation that I thought immediately was like, he's saying that to the dressing room. Is he then taking that player to one side going, you fucking idiot?
Yeah. And there's one with is it one of Granit Xhaka's red cards where you see like he does the speech and they all walk out, and then like he basically goes over, gives him a little hug and doesn't say anything and then leaves.
Yeah, because it's just like, you're a clown, mate.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's definitely like, you can get the whiff of Pep Guardiola apprentice off him.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
When you see him on the training pitch in particular.
Yeah. Like, I don't... Here's the thing though, I think the way that managers are, and the way that they're trained, and especially in this country in the last 2 years, we've got such an injection of brilliant managers into the country.
Yeah. Coaches.
Like brilliant coaches, and our like facility for training coaches in this country is top notch now. It really, really is. And there's like more and more.
That's George's Park, is it?
George's Park, yep. And we're doing more and more like, higher level UEFA qualified coaches by the year coming out, that I don't doubt anyone's ability to coach a team, but managing a team is different, because I do think you need that buy-in. And it's like what you talked about in the sort of lack of something being earnest or things being a bit cheesy, and people end up losing dressing rooms that way. But there's so many different egos, and it goes for any sports team, I guess, or any team in general, and just being a manager, and how difficult it can be to get a bunch of people with different sensibilities from different backgrounds to all buy into a common goal.
And I suppose that's where, not to turn this into a full kind of football podcast, but you kind of see at the moment in real life at Leicester City, it's when the spell is broken. And like Brendan Rodgers is a guy who does a lot of that motivational stuff as well. And so while people are buying in and while things are going well, it's all great. But now you're seeing that like that isn't working anymore, and he isn't as good a man manager as he thinks he is to handle that decline.
Yeah, exactly. And you think like that team's kind of been with Arteta through those tough times. Like the first couple of episodes, things do seem really tough. Like he is fighting uphill at that point. So maybe he kind of has the equipment about him to be able to drive them if they did hit
the minerals.
Yeah, exactly. If they did have a dark patch or whatever. But yeah, like I say, it's always fascinating to see these things. But just bear in mind that all of the documentaries, all of the behind the scenes things you see of teams is just always very stage managed. It's always signed off on by the team. You know, there's no editor's choice. No one's like giving you free rein to just put whatever the hell you want in there and make it as ugly as everybody would want it to be.
Except Sunderland.
Oh yeah, except Sunderland. Yeah, but I bet even then there was stuff.
There was definitely some people at Sunderland, those documentaries, who didn't think that they were coming off the way they were.
Yeah, exactly.